Recep Tayyip Erdoğan was born on February 26, 1954, in the Kasımpaşa district of Istanbul, Turkey. His father worked as a Coast Guard officer, and his family lived a simple, disciplined life. Kasımpaşa was a tough, working-class neighborhood with narrow streets, crowded houses, and a strong sense of community. The young boy who later became president did not grow up in luxury or power. He grew up in a place where people worked hard, where money had to be earned the difficult way, and where respect came from character more than position. As a child, Erdoğan spent some of his early years in the coastal town of Rize, on the Black Sea, where his family had roots. Life there was modest and traditional. When the family returned to Istanbul, he went to religious and state schools, learning both modern subjects and religious knowledge. His parents wanted him to grow up with moral values as well as practical skills. The streets of Istanbul were his second classroom. He saw poor families trying to survive, street vendors calling out their products, children helping their parents in any way they could. These scenes stayed with him and shaped his understanding of struggle and ambition to help his family and pay for his own needs. Young Erdoğan worked as a street seller. He sold simit, a traditional Turkish bread ring, and other small items in the streets. He walked long distances, calling out to customers, sometimes facing rejection, sometimes earning just enough for the day. This was not an easy job for a teenager, but it taught him valuable lessons. He learned that money does not fall from the sky, that every coin has to be earned, and that facing people every day builds confidence. Street selling also trained his voice, his communication skills, and his ability to read people's moods, skills that would be extremely useful in politics later, along with work. Erdoğan had a passion that gave him joy and identity: football. He loved playing the game and became quite good at it. For a time, he even played for semi-professional clubs in Istanbul. On the football field, he learned teamwork, strategy, and discipline. He discovered that you cannot win matches alone. You must coordinate with others, respect their roles, and trust them. Football also gave him a sense of leadership, as he sometimes acted as the one who motivated others on the pitch. Although he did not become a famous professional player, those football years left a deep mark on his personality, even while working and playing football. Erdoğan continued his education. He attended an Imam Hatip school, which combined religious and general education, and later studied at an economics and business faculty. Academic life was not always easy, but he kept moving forward. As a student and young man, he began to take an interest in social issues and politics. He listened to speeches, joined discussions, and became active in youth branches of political movements. The boy who once sold bread in the streets was now using his voice to talk about the direction of his country. In the 1980s and 1990s, Erdoğan's political journey truly began. He joined parties that focused on conservative and religiously influenced values, and he worked his way up through local organizations. Politics at that time in Turkey was not calm or easy. There were military interventions, bans on parties, and constant tension between different political visions. Erdoğan faced these storms from the inside. He organized rallies, gave speeches in small halls and open squares, and connected with ordinary people who felt ignored by the traditional political elite. They saw him as someone who understood their language and their daily problems. In 1994, Erdoğan was elected mayor of Istanbul, one of the largest and most important cities in the world. This was a turning point in his life. Many people were surprised that a man with such a modest background now led a city crowded with millions of residents, historical landmarks, serious traffic and water problems, and a complex political scene. As mayor, he focused on practical issues: cleaning the city, improving water supply, reducing pollution, and developing infrastructure. He became known for his hands-on style, visiting neighborhoods, listening to citizens, and trying to show results rather than just talk. However, his path was far from smooth. In the late 1990s, Erdoğan read a poem at a public rally that authorities considered provocative. Because of this, he was charged and imprisoned for a short period, and he was banned from holding political office for a time. For many people, especially his supporters, this felt like a punishment for his beliefs rather than a fair judgment. For Erdoğan personally, it was a painful moment. He had gone from being a popular mayor to a prisoner. Yet, just like the years of selling cement on the streets, this experience did not break him. It became another chapter in his story of resilience. After his release, Erdoğan did not disappear from public life. Instead, he helped form a new political party that promised a fresh start and a more stable, modern, and economically strong Turkey. The party campaigned on themes of development, democracy, and fighting corruption. In 2002, it won a major victory in national elections. Because of the earlier ban, Erdoğan could not immediately become prime minister. But that obstacle was later removed, and he soon assumed the role. The former street seller of Istanbul was now the leader of the Turkish government. As prime minister, Erdoğan presided over a period of significant economic growth and development in Turkey, especially in the early years. New roads, airports, hospitals, and housing projects appeared across the country. Many people who had felt poor and forgotten saw their standard of living improve. Businesses expanded, tourism increased, and Turkey became more visible on the world stage. For supporters, this was proof that someone from a humble background could understand the needs of the people and deliver practical change. Erdoğan's story was often told as a symbol of rising from the streets to the top. Over time, Erdoğan's political influence continued to grow. In 2014, he became the president of Turkey, a role that later gained expanded powers as the system of government changed. He positioned himself as a strong central leader, speaking frequently about national pride, independence, and religious and cultural identity. Supporters saw him as a protector of their values and a builder of a new, confident Turkey. Critics, on the other hand, expressed concerns about press freedom, political opposition, and the balance of power. Erdoğan's leadership became one of the most debated in modern Turkish history. From a story of Recep's point of view, it is important to separate two things: political opinions and personal journey. People may agree or disagree with Erdoğan's policies, but his path from a working-class neighborhood and street, selling to the presidency of a major country, is undeniably a dramatic rise. It shows how early struggle can create toughness, how communication with ordinary people can become a political strength, and how belief, whether in religion, a cause, or oneself, can drive a person forward through setbacks. His story also reminds us that success brings new tests. The same qualities that help someone rise: strong will, ambition, confidence, can become dangerous if not balanced by humility, listening, and fairness. Power can be used to serve, or it can be used to control. For viewers, this creates an interesting reflection. The journey to the top is only half the story. What you do once you are at the top is the other half. Erdoğan's life is a real-time example of this question, with both achievements and controversies that will be discussed by historians for years to come. For your audience, the core message of this video can focus on perseverance and transformation. A boy who walked the streets selling bread, who played football for small clubs, who faced bans and imprisonment, refused to stay in the background. He developed his voice, built connections, and rose to the highest office in his country. Whatever one's political view, the basic lesson is clear. Where you start does not have to decide where you end. Street corners can lead to city halls, and city halls can lead to presidential palaces if you are willing to work, learn, and continue after every fall. The riches in Recep Tayyip Erdoğan's story, especially in the early chapters, are not financial. They are the riches of experience, learning how to talk to strangers, how to face rejection, how to survive with little, and how to keep faith when doors close in your face. These internal riches, resilience, courage, persistence are the kind that any viewer, anywhere in the world, can try to build in their own life, no matter what they think about politics.